Raven Software has returned to the Marvel Universe once again. After delivering two well-received comic titles with X-Men Legends 1 and 2, the next step was obvious. Take on as many Marvel characters as possible. The result is another success, a game that will satisfy both fans of action games and comics. The game begins with an attack on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier by the forces of Dr. Doom, who has assembled a countless amount of supervillains and formed the Masters of Evil.
Not on my watch.
When the S.H.I.E.L.D. distress call goes out, Marvel's mightiest heroes arrive, and set out on a journey to put an end to Dr. Doom's nefarious plans. You start with Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, but soon are able to play as some of Marvel's most legendary characters, such as Iron Man, Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, and everyone's favorite merc with a mouth, Deadpool. What's surprising is that while not many people are looking for an excuse to assemble the greatest Marvel characters, the story actually works very well and keeps you hooked throughout. The variation in environments helps to keep the player riveted as your team travels everywhere from Asgard to the Skrull throne world. The game looks incredible on the 360, for the most part. There's a strange inconsistency that occurs when you go from a stage that implements great fire effects and impressive character textures to an in-game cutscene that looks like it was ripped straight from the current-gen version of the game. The characters have 4 different costumes that can be unlocked, with differing attributes, and it's great to see the various looks in effect. You can pick up or purchase different accessories to beef up your skills, however, these never show up on your character's body and end up being simple number crunching. This is a bit disappointing now that the game is next-gen, especially when you find an item that's specific to a given character. Obviously, not every Marvel fan is going to be completely satisfied with the final roster in the game. Certain teams are missing key members, but the game ends up providing a very impressive sample of the Marvel Universe. Unfortunately, when playing online, you can't take your leveled-up character into the story mode. All players must rely on one-person save game. Also, all 4 players share the same camera online, which can become frustrating. This makes sense if everyone's sharing a couch, but if each player is on their own TV, why not free up the camera?
It's amazing what you can do with just a few $1 billion.
You stood little chance against the God of Thunder.
Those who have played either of the X-Men Legends games will feel immediately comfortable with the gameplay that Ultimate Alliance has to offer. However, the game is also able to improve upon many elements that were beginning to become stale in the genre. Combat, for instance, definitely feels more rewarding. You can now link attacks together just like in any classic beat-em-up. Grabbing an enemy can lead to a throw, or more punches, or a special power move. You can also wrench enemy shields and weapons away from them in the middle of combat. In addition, you'll often be required to perform context-sensitive attacks like spinning the analog stick or rapidly pressing a button. Unfortunately, just like other games in the genre, the characters are unbalanced. You'll have no problem finding a worthwhile amount of heroes to play as, it just won't be all of them. For every Captain America and Thor, there's a Spider-Woman and Moon Knight, characters whose attacks aren't as strong, flashy, or interesting. But there is a good variation between the best characters. Also, some heroes are faster than others, which means whoever picks them will be waiting for their friends to catch up in multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, when playing with friends, each character is now responsible for their own health and energy, instead of having to depend on a shared pool of resources. It definitely reduces the arguments about how one person has to tone down the amount of freeze blast they're performing. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is undeniably fun, and has the ability to humble even the biggest self-proclaimed geek, with its staggering amount of characters and references. Its flaws aren't impossible to look past, and with a solid story and improved combat, it's definitely evolved the genre for the better.
We're now a team? Yes.